Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hello and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving. This is your host Punam here. This is our last episode of the series Career Choice, the Intelligent Way. In this series, we are connecting neuroscience, education, and the real world to help families and young professionals prepare what's next. So today's episode is a must listen for everyone wondering how to stay relevant in the age of AI, automation, and globalization. Even before we start today's conversation, I highly recommend to go back and listen all the episodes we have done so far in this series. But today's topic is the challenging landscape of employment, preparing for the future job market. Joining us again is the brilliant Dr. Sweta Adatia, a neurologist and author of Future Ready Now, a book that blends brain science and career design for a fast changing world. Dr. Sweta, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Punam, and thank you to all the listeners. It's always a delight talking about the future, which is going to be, we will be deciphering it right now. That's why let's be future ready now.
Absolutely. Let's begin with the big picture. What's happening in the job market and why is it changing so dramatically?
Yes, thank you for asking that. We have evolved when it comes to industry, right? We had Industry 1.0, and then it was Industry 2.0, and then Industry 3.0, which was all about automobiles and lots of engines and so many things. And then the Industry 4.0, which is digitalization. So all your internets and your Googles and the AI, machine learning, everything is right now what we are in Industry 4.0. Now, obviously, the world is changing, technology is rapidly changing the face of it. So, imagine, many, many years back, and if I do remember, my first telephone was when I was, I think, some 26 or 25 years old. My first laptop was at the age of 25 years old. And look at the generation today. Their phones are probably in their hands by the age of 2 or 3. So there is a rapid shift in the use of technology as well, which is happening, and this is very much expected, and we have to accept it. So expected thing has to become accepted as well. So it is only about adaptability. How do I navigate this landscape? How do I prepare myself? It is not about me versus as an hi versus an ai versus an hi. It is about togetherness of utilizing the technology. Let us master that technology by not giving up our brain. I always say, what, at the cost of your cognitive currency? Not at the cost of your brain bank, right? We have to build the brain and also make use of the technology going forwards. There's a lot of work, which is happening, World Economic Forum, McKinsey, and if you read that big articles talking about AI taking away X number of jobs, but that is more of a negative bias that the brain and the mind that we have. Anything which is fearful, we catch on to that. Has anybody read the report of how many new jobs will be created? And look at the ratio between the new jobs being created versus the AI taking away the job. It's not that glim. It is not that sad. So this is, our wiring which comes into play. Let me be protected. AI is my threat, and I have to, do everything to protect myself. So I'm very, very positive. If we are to adapt the technologies, if we are to grow with the technologies, if our education system, this is extremely important, if our education system is also geared towards these rapid changes, I think we should not have any concern at all.
I am with you, Dr. Shweta, but can you give us examples of what kinds of jobs might become obsolete? As we are
Yeah.
saying, it is changing, landscape is changing, and what might be on the rise? As you mentioned, these reports people don't read, that fear they cling on to. But as you're saying, it's not really gloomy, right? So there may
Yeah.
be new things emerging. So any examples would you like to share?
Yeah, let's take off as of now, as we are talking now. If you go to any of those warehouses, let's talk of big warehouses, Amazon's warehouse, or and you talk of China, the manufacturing hub of the world. All those warehouses used to have an X number of blue collared labor force, and now that is all surpassed by the human robots, right? The robots, the machine robots, are taking the exact, I mean, 100 times doing the job as compared to a few manual laborers. So whose jobs, the kind of the jobs, there will be a lot of shift in these kind of patterns of the job. So a lot of labor, a lot of mundane tasks, a lot of repetitive tasks, a lot of tasks where there is calculation such as accounts, etc. Yes, that will get redundant with the technological advancement and AI. But at the same time, to manage these kind of robots, to manage these kind of machines, even a single cloud, the architecture, the security, the entire infrastructure of the cloud, managing the threats, managing the hacking part of it, making sure that there are certain ways in which it is protected, etc. There are so many other jobs which are created as well. Now, if we look into the future, there is going to be an intersection of a certain trends. So genetics is going to be a huge trend. We will all of us have some personalized Panadols, so your Tylenol would be very different from my Tylenol because it is now linked back to the genetic makeup of how am I metabolizing that. That's going to be very much in use and vogue. Then nanomedicine, we will all have very very precise packets of medicine delivered to our cells, very very specific, site specific. That's going to be the future. It's going to be about also enhancement, cognitive enhancements or augmentation of the way we think. There's going to be personal memory curators. There's going to be data store, the people who will be storing our data, who will be keeping our data. And then obviously the current trend of digital currencies, decentralization of the power when it comes to the banking, etc. Already we are seeing it right now, right? Who would have imagined that in Dubai you can buy a real estate with a digital currency? You don't even go to a bank, you don't withdraw the money, and then you get your home which is delivered. So this is just the, I would say, the tip of the iceberg. We will see a lot of these shifts, but the entire idea is, in fact, in Future Ready Now we have given some amazing examples. There's going to be a virtual store Sherpa, there's going to be a bionic limb manufacturer, there's going to be a chip device which is put in the brain who will take care of that. There will be some data storage managers, etc. And also, this is the future. Now, the people who will embrace it, who will accept it, who will be flexible, who will be understanding that from the lens of the change, would be the ones who will be successful. In fact, if you look at the 21st century tool, and I was just speaking to one of the youngsters just before I was on the podcast with you, I was telling her that 21st century is about your core literacy, which is, of course, you are literate in math or IT or your coding. But the second part is also about the competencies that you have. And then the third part of it is about the innate thinking potentials and the behavioral potentials that you have. For example, am I adaptable? Am I flexible? Can I think innovatively? Am I compassionate? Am I empathetic? So it's all going to be a balance between the hard and the soft skills that I bring on table.
Absolutely, Dr. Shweta, I can relate with that. I'm also a technologist, but at the same time, I need to be rather more human now in the AI world because, people are using AI and they are sometimes, expecting human to be like fast. They don't have patience with each other, right? So I need to embrace that adaptability, empathy and listening skills, active listening. So what I'm understanding, for today's students and professional, if we want to really, future proof career, if we want to have that, so it's not only about academic success, it's more than that. So that's, you
Yes.
explained it beautifully. So how can families and school better prepare children for this shifting landscape? Any insights on that?
Yes, thank you for asking that, because a lot of education itself is going to shift. So when we wrote the book and when we did the literature review, 2030, 2040, in fact, the entire university system may not exist. It's all going to be an a la carte. So let me mix music with a little bit of tech and a little bit of, let's say, painting. And then, I create a nice little salad out of it. And then whatever job that I want to do. Why? Because the economy is shifting from the traditional economy into gig economy. And gig economy, if you look at the numbers in US, it's fairly high. It's somewhere between 43 to 45%. So almost 50% of the people are part of the gig force. There's no typical traditional 9 to 5 job. There's no typical traditional manager or a line manager kind of a concept. There is no, the life is completely on to you. The tasks and the jobs that you want to do, the tasks and the job that you like to do. And you have the power to say yes or no into it, right? So when this entire shift of the education will happen, universities will also adopt the entire ecosystem of how the curriculum is presented, the subjects are presented, everything will undergo a massive change. So the teachers and the parents of today firstly have to understand that the new coming generation, when we are talking 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 years in advance, we have to keep all this in mind. Hence the best way to work around this is, let us aim to provide our children the whole brain skill. Let us aim to have the best of both sides of the brain being built. Now I may have my hard skill practiced. So hard skill is easy. If I keep doing math over a period of time, I'll ace my mathematics. But am I acing compassion? Am I acing collaboration? I may have the top mathematical academic job ever possible, but I can't talk to people. People don't talk to me. What is the benefit of that, right? So this is what the education system has to be mindful about and start building curriculums. In fact, we are coming up with something called the B Lab, 15 and 16-year olds global lab, where we will onboard only the students who will go through a very rigorous interview process. And we are not here to teach technology and to teach mathematics or sciences. We know the universities would do that job, but we will be talking about building the hardcore brain skills, because that brain is the same brain which is going to tackle all the problems of the future, holistically, most important.
That's wonderful. So, if I can summarize, Dr. Shweta, so the future belongs to the flexible, and hybrid careers are booming. And, we need to teach our kids that resilience, right? That because pressure of uncertainty is real. But if our child is resilient, flexible, and they're ready to, follow their love, so future is waiting for them and they will be successful, no doubt about that.
Correct.
So
I have a
before
little
we
formula. I just say aware, care, and dare. Let's be aware about our brain patterns. Let's care for it and then dare to change whatever is not there. Let's let the brain become like a constant, dynamically evolving, a skill building task, but at the same time, be mindful of what my strengths are, what my capabilities are.
Absolutely. So, if I understand in your book, Future Ready Now, you talk about designing a life based
Mhm.
on how your brain is wired. And you have
Absolutely.
been explaining, how to apply to career planning. So, anything more you would like to share before we wrap up?
Absolutely. So we call it the my brain design, that, how am I thinking? Basically, it's my thinking design. The way I'm thinking, I will act. The way I act, my habit will form. The way my habit, character, life, it is sort of a domino effect which comes, but the base is my thinking preference. And then from the my brain design, we create this my life design, where how am I navigating my life? What kind of skills I will need? What kind of communication abilities? How do I navigate with family? How do I navigate with peers? What are the qualities that I need to be mindful about? How do I predict other person's quality? And then when it comes to success, how do I shift my brain either side? Because I over the time I build this entire brain's capabilities. I'm very aware. I'm constantly conscious of it. In fact, in any presentation that you go, in fact, I was talking to a few youngsters and I said that, when you write your exams, most of the times what we do, we think that everybody is thinking like you. It's conformity bias, that, I expect you to exactly think like how I am thinking. And then the time you present a completely different thought process, then I say, oh, there's a lot of fight and conflicts and everything. But that inclusivity of thinking process is extremely important. So when I'm writing an exam, mostly I make summary, I make bullet points, but I never think that there is also a right brainer who loves colors, who loves some kind of an abstract presentation, who loves stories, who's also sitting and reading your paper. So making sure that you are balancing both your right and left, even a simple presentation, is extremely important. Bringing right amount of data, bringing right amount of curiosity, connecting heart to heart, because that is all about the empathetic brain. And then also the process of it, you don't keep things ambiguous, you complete the entire process. Even in our regular daily life, the whole brain skill building goes a long way. In fact, Dr. Herman Brain Dominance Inventory, which is also based on the whole brain thinking science, they have built an entire company. 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are using that tool for their customer success, for their team building, for onboarding, for hiring the right job, building the managerial skills, etc. So it's a very simple looking science, but with profound implications.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta. This has been incredible, hopeful, and practical conversation. As the world changes, your insights help us move from fear to future readiness. I truly appreciate all the work you have been doing for our youngster, for our parents. You're right. You wrote that book. You're speaking to so many people via your podcast. I'm really thankful for this opportunity for recording these episodes with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Punam, and thank you to all the listeners as well. I think, as you rightly mentioned, fear to know the future in our hands, and that between the gap of fear and future is only knowledge. The moment you unlock your brain design, you understand the power, you start utilizing that power, future is all yours.
Absolutely. To all our listeners, start asking different questions. Encourage your children and yourself to see learning as a lifelong brain boosting adventure. I am not afraid of future. In fact, as Dr. Shweta was saying, if you have the right mindset, if you have curiosity, if you have flexibility, right? So you can thrive in unknown world also because you have those skills, not only academic, but that empathic side, that intelligence, not only IQ, you have EQ, you have other cues. So don't forget to check out Dr. Shweta's Aditya's Future Ready Now for deeper tools on designing a life and career that fits your brain, your strengths, and the world ahead. Until next time, keep evolving, keep learning, and keep leading the way. Thank you very much.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for listening.